Muggity T. Jones, I don't buy into conspiracies, but you mentioned satellites. I did some work for the NGA, which makes satellites for government agencies such as the CIA. You would be very, very surprised at how much they can see. If we have Google Earth, what do you think the top government security agents are using? Of course. Of course. There's no doubt. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be shocked to think that they don't have real-time video capabilities for I don't know how many hundreds of potential hotspots around the world. But I would put what's going on in Ukraine at quite high up on the list of what they definitely have. Look, you can go on and buy Dropcam and get cloud storage for $9.99 a month for one camera. This is, you know, the idea that that we can look on Google Earth and I can see my, the building where I live in, suggests to me that whatever they got, they can see, they can count bricks on the building. I mean, give me a break. We know that both governments probably have the images of when this was fired, images of who did the firing, probably video. And it's just a question of which one of them is going to release it first. Or at the very least leak it because they don't want to show exactly what their capability is. Also, you weren't actually suggesting the U.S. does not have just as many geopolitical interests in Ukraine as Russia does, are you? I don't think that we do have as many geopolitical interests.
You think Russia has the same geopolitical interest in Guatemala or Latin America that we do? It's immediate. It's right on its border. That's part of the justification of what Russia did in Crimea, as an example. Is
the whole threat Russia sees is the real, actual expansion of NATO eastward. I mean, I think there's some there's some legitimate concern there, but Russia's is, I mean, by definition, what you just said means that Russia has more intense geopolitical interest than we do. Dave with Dignity, please be better about this USA empire stuff. Dude, about Ukraine is right. Who stopped Obama in Syria? Russia. I'm not pro-Russia, but global imperial affair. No, Russia definitely did help out.
They cut a deal that we were happy to accept, actually. I mean, the idea, like, if you don't see the tremendous ambiguity that the Obama administration had about Syria from the beginning, I don't know what story you were following.
I'm not a paid shill, but let me point out the reason that Ukrainian separatists are shooting down planes is because of the bombing, etc. I understand why the Ukrainian separatists are shooting down planes. Look, they're in a war. I get it. And this is being exploited specifically to get Russia to provide them with less assistance.
And
which is exactly the argument that I would be making if it was the United States providing the Ukrainian rebels with this assistance. No one said this that they thought that they were shooting down an airliner. We are interfering in that region, Russia's backyard. I'm not blaming Obama, imperialism. I'm not. I really don't get what's going on here. I really don't get what the dynamic here is. That it's
there's just a want.
We shouldn't even rhetorically say Russia should not be funding this separatist movement. I don't even understand this.
There is some weird thing that goes on, and I see it all the time. Non-conservative, anti-Obama people, for some reason, feel the need to defend Russia and Putin at all times. It's so bizarre to me.
How about all the players in this are full of shit?
Or how about you just do...
I don't get it.
Like global, like you just do analysis and look at different players and different interests. And just in the same way that you wouldn't have this constant, endless justification of bending over backwards to the United States, which you shouldn't, don't have it for Russia either. I just, it's bizarre.
Kevman, I've heard the conspiracy that the plane downing was a NATO false flag to divert attention from the BRICS competitor to the IMF. Being frank, it's insane. Being generous, it's unproven. Emo Prod, Sam, love your show and think you're the greatest, brightest progressive mind we have. Oh, thank you. I've been a fan since Air America, but your reaction to the guy calling about Russia, Ukraine surprised me. I don't understand why his point to seem to put you on the defense. I don't think you have to be on the Kremlin's payroll to question the U.S. motives. But I don't know what the U.S. is doing here. Motives in doing what? Oh my God. What is U.S. calling for? Russia to stop funding the Ukrainian rebels. So is the argument that we should be, look, we've got two sides to be on this. And how intensely the United States operates is also a factor. But are people arguing that we should be saying to Russia, you should be funding the Ukrainian rebels, you should be fomenting and funding a civil war there, and that it would be best for the Ukrainian people to become, again, essentially a client state. And by client, I mean heavy-handed client state of Russia. Is that, I don't understand. Is that the thing that we should be promoting here? I don't understand.
And incidentally, just to add, and then on top of that, we apologize for loading a plane full of corpses from Amsterdam and dumping the dead bodies.
Wait a second. But that is what I don't understand, what the argument is here.
You have to understand the conspiracies to understand how absurd these arguments get. I mean,
that is why I am. I mean, I'm not defensive. I just think that, like, I don't think we have massive interest in this. I think the Europeans have far greater. They are clearly afraid of.
And they're treading lightly because Russia, they're dependent on Russian energy.
All right, look, so the argument is that it was a false flag, that the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians are not shooting at cargo transport planes, right? Who would be sending that plane to what at 32,000 feet? Like, why would the Ukrainians do this? Only to create a false flag. And I'll tell you something, that would be an extremely ballsy move for the Ukrainians to do. Because if they get caught up in this, they're in, I mean, it's just.
It's bizarre you will believe nothing about Russian foreign policy and absolutely everything about the Ukrainians is a little amazing.